welcome to another episode of Let's Chat Reality. I'm Michael,
And I'm Molly.
and we are so excited today to be joined by Rachel Evans from The Circle Season 4. We love The Circle, and we're so excited to talk about it with Rachel, get some behind-the-scenes tea about her season, and talk all about it. So, hi, Rachel. How are you?
Hey, are you going to tell them that we know each other?
Yeah, we can tell them. Yeah, Rachel and I went to high school together. We overlapped for I think a year, right? Yeah, I think just 1 year we overlapped,
Was
but it
it
feels like
only
more.
1 year?
I think so. You were class of 2010, right?
Yeah, wow, you
Yeah,
made
I
a
was
big
2013.
impact.
And you as well. Yeah, we did theater together, so it feels like we had more time.
I
But
know, that was the best.
it was very fun. But let's talk a little bit about The Circle. So let's start from the beginning here. So how did you end up on the show?
They actually reached out to me because I was a YouTuber and yeah, I had a YouTube channel. Like I did YouTube full time for like 4 or 5 years, and then I was on a ghost paranormal show on the Travel Channel.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did that for 6 seasons, and they found me from that. And the casting agents who reached out to me have reached out to me a lot in the past, just being like, "Do you want to be on Password?" And I'm like, "No,
What's wrong with
no,
Password? I love Password.
sure, but like, there's no way I would put myself under that kind of duress for something that
Yeah,
would not be that cool of a story, you know."
right, right.
And I was also already jaded at this point. When I got the call for The Circle, I've been living in LA for almost 10 years. And it was just
Mm,
like, okay, like with everything, because it was never like an aspiration of mine. Like, I know this might be surprising to you, Michael, but I was never like dying to be like, oh, I want to be famous or, like on TV or whatever. I just like found myself in these positions. And so it had to be like the perfect thing. And they reached out to me with The Circle, and I love The Circle. And everyone just seems so lovely on it. And it seems like the kindest, like it seems like a kind
yeah.
competition reality show. So I said yes. And then it was like I had one audition, I guess, and then one more, which I guess was lucky. I didn't know, but a few people on my season said they had like 8 different conversations.
Yeah.
So I'm
Wow.
happy I
That
didn't have
seems
to do
quick.
that. Because I'm like, what else do you need to say? What do you mean? Like, we've said enough.
Yeah,
And
after a
then they
certain amount of
found
time, they're
me.
like they just know you, like
Exactly. I'm
they
like,
know when
hey,
they're
is
there.
this like therapy? Do I need to come back every week? Um, but and then yeah, at the end of that one, it was like a month later, and they're like, okay, you're flying to Manchester in 2 weeks. And I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
So, but
That's
even when you flew to, they don't film it there anymore, but even when you fly to Manchester, they fly out more people than they actually put on the show. So
Hmm.
that like, my name's Rachel, and everyone's like sitting in a circle, in the like big like neon circles or whatever.
Yeah.
They film that. That's the first thing that you do when you like get to Manchester, and then from that they select who's going to be on the show.
Oh, okay.
So everybody, there was like 14 people who just had to like fly home.
Wow, that's a lot.
Hmm.
Jeez.
I know, it sucks so bad, but I don't know, one me.
Yeah, exactly. Worked out for you, and that's all that matters.
yeah.
Mhm.
So we know you'd watch previous seasons of The Circle. Had you ever watched other competition reality shows like Survivor, Big Brother before as well?
Oh, absolutely. I have to like, it's I don't love, which is ironic, but I don't love competitive people. Like I find
Mm,
the whole personality trait very taxing. Like it's a very like, okay, you want to win. Why? You know? So in money, but like is that even your money? Like I don't know. I had this whole like existential dread going into it, really. But competition reality shows I had a hard time with if they weren't love based,
Mm.
or like The Trust. I really loved. I have a couple friends on that, and I
Oh yeah,
love that show.
that was very
But like Survivor, no, no. I watched early seasons when they had to like, you know, stand on a log for 15 hours to get an
good. Oh
Oreo with
yeah.
peanut butter on it or something.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was huge. But no, competition reality shows kind of bum me out. As you know, if you watched my season of The Circle, you can probably guess that I'm not a hyper competitive person. I was just like,
But that's
Yeah,
why
well,
we love you
okay.
on it.
yeah, let's speak about you. Well, speaking of your season, we saw you join in episode 3 along with Alex, aka Nathan. So, did being a late addition impact your strategy at all in the game?
Strategy. Girl, what? Literally, I was there for the vibes. Like, and I'm sure that
Yeah.
pisses people off because people are like, I'm dying to go on that show. I know exactly. But you know, it takes all kinds. So you need to have those players, which is I think why they put me in there. Um, like with Alex, because they were like, oh, he's super strategy. She has no idea where she is. Um, yeah, like I was Michelle Buteau at the end called me out and was like, "You were so strategic with calling out Carol," and I was like, "In what world is it good strategy within the first 24 hours of knowing people to be like, you're a liar, you're a liar, like, why is, in what world is that strategy? It's not. I was just vibing. So, you know, it didn't mess with my strategy because, again, none, but it did mess with my mind a lot
Mm.
because I was actually, okay, so this is like real technical, but they filmed season 5 before they filmed season 4. So they
Oh.
originally flew me out for season 5, which again was filmed before. And
Yeah.
so when they flew me out for season 5, they were like, "Are you willing to flirt to win?" And I was like, "No." And
Oh,
they were
that
like,
was the single
"Oh,
season. Yeah.
right." So they were like, "Oh shit, we should not put her on this season." And I got so lucky because like my cast is the best in the whole world, but like so that means I had been in Manchester in isolation, by the way. You're in this flat, you're in this apartment. I got lucky because I was like in the middle of Manchester Square. So I was there, but you aren't allowed to leave the apartment except for 1 hour every day chaperoned. So like
Mm.
because you can't see anybody else, like you ruin the
Right.
game if you do. Um so so I was just going crazy. I didn't have my phone, I didn't have a computer, like I was just going insane. And when I knew that it was the day that they were bringing people in and I didn't get the call, because you get like a call on your like little WhatsApp phone. So
Oh.
when I didn't get that call, I immediately started freaking out. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? You guys have made me, I was still at Smosh, I was still working. So they're
Hmm.
like, I'm like, if you want me to stay, get me a computer. I have to work. I run a team. Oh my God. Like I'm a person, you know?
Yeah.
Um, and so when I didn't get that call, I got vertigo. I was so stressed out that so for the first like 8, no, probably 7 days I was there, like in the actual show, I had vertigo. So if I ever seem like, wow, you're really low energy, I'm like, yeah, the room was spinning. I was I was sitting on the bed like, oh, hi. It was going crazy. So yeah, it definitely messed with my psyche, but not, game. And also it's
Yeah.
kind of better for your game if you go in a little bit late, not too late, but if you go in a little bit late, you at least have like that next elimination you're going to survive.
Right. I feel like you came at like a
So
perfect time for that. Like early enough before the like relationships in game had gone on too long, but like you still got to
it
kind
was
of skip the
perfect.
first little bit.
I feel very serendipitous about my like entry time.
Yeah.
Um and they knew I was a Spice Girl stan. Like it was part of like
Mm.
I talked about it in like a couple of my pre-interviews or whatever, because they asked
Um,
the same question that they asked on the show, like what was your first concert? And I was like, well, it's the Spice Girls, duh. So they knew. So they were like, okay, we gotta get this girl in here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
no,
Right.
that's perfect. So how did you decide on the photos that you use for your profile?
Oh my god.
You just thought of these are good.
No, of course not. What they do is have a very specific,
Oh.
it's almost like a packing list, but for photos. It's like, here are all the things that we want to cover, here are all the things that we want to see, here are the different albums that we have. And you have to submit like 50 to 60 photos.
Wow.
Oh
So
my
at
gosh.
a certain point, you're just like, you're going, and I think all of this is psychological warfare, because when you hear about it, you're like, oh yeah, you just like paint them into a corner until they can't do anything else. So by the like 30th photo, you're like, are there more photos of me? So you start pulling things that are like from your friend Diane's camera roll, but the time you went to the beach. And then what do? They blow it up on screen. They just put your ass on screen. And I was like, ugh. And the picture that was my profile picture, I specifically asked them, I was like, can you please cut my ass out of this? You can see the top of my ass. Can you please cut it out? And they were like, not a problem. You actually won't even see it when it's in the circle. And I was like, you lied to me. Wow, you lied to me.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's
there's
always
really
funny hearing about the photos because I feel like, yeah, you only see a small portion of them, but you have to submit so many to
Mhm.
the producers. But
oh, you
yeah,
just like run your well completely dry until like, and then what they choose to put on the screen, you're like, really? Like the two photos that were mine were me ass out in a creek, and then me with my friend Sapphire's dog, and I was like, that's not even my dog. I couldn't even put like
That's so funny.
like dog liver in my. It was just weird, but you know, at least I look cute.
Yeah, I think it was a good photo. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
it certainly could have been a lot worse that they could have chosen, I'm sure. So
Oh my! And I
that was a good
submitted a lot worse too. So they were kind to me.
one.
that's good. And so coming in, we saw that you picked Jared, also known as the Spice Girls, and Yuling for your first chat. So what made you pick them specifically?
I didn't. I picked Yuling and Frank,
Oh.
and bless my producers, they were like, Jared's cool though, right? And I was like, kinda, like fucking okay. I mean, he's young. Like the whole time I was just like, I don't know. I can deal with like, I don't know. I just didn't want to. I didn't see anything. So they were like, I just really think it would behoove you if you were to pick Jared. And I was like, fuck yeah, I don't know
Mm.
anything. And the first thing that they tell you when you go in there is like, which isn't true, but when you don't know anything, trusting your producer is like the best thing that you can do for yourself. The thing is, I had a really, really great daytime producer, and she was like a sweetie, and she cared about me, and she did like everything she could to put me in the best position. And that's who was talking to me. And she was like, I just really think you should. And I was like, okay, girl, let's do it. So yeah, Yuling was a no brainer for me. She's like, I talk to her every day. She's like one of my
Oh.
very best friends. I love her. And I wanted to talk to Frank, but we got there eventually.
Yeah, that's nice.
So then, later in that episode, you all find out that the Spice Girls, Emma Brunton and Mel B, are behind one of the profiles. You don't know which one yet. So what went through your mind when they dropped that bombshell? Because obviously we know you were a big Spice Girls fan. It was your first concert. So what was going through your mind?
I honestly nothing at all. Like it was it I cannot stress enough the worst person to put on reality television, because when I'm like excited, mad, it all looks the same. I'm always like no matter what. So, but when I saw them, I mean, I couldn't believe it, and like the thought of the possibilities of like what that could implicate was too overwhelming for me to even like handle. Not that any of them came to fruition, still have never met the Spice Girls, but they do follow me on Instagram, and I take that as a win.
That is a big one.
Yeah, it's a win. And they did, like, they were kind of a little bit mean to me, which also kind of a win. So, yeah, I freaked out. I'm getting like hot, I'm like warm thinking about it. Just like the feeling in that moment, because the thing is too, you can't actually enjoy a thing in there, because when
Mm.
you start to feel excitement, joy, anything genuine, there's somebody being like, "How do you feel?" And I have to be like, "Very good, thank you." Like, I don't know what to tell. I'm freaking out, and they're like, "Could you like?" Because you see like Frank and Yuling, and they're like screaming, and they're jumping, and they're visibly excited, and I'm imploding, and like the definition of implosion is that it's all happening on the inside. So I was just like, "No, I can't give you what you need right now." So during
Mhm.
any of those like big excitable moments, you'll notice that you see very little of me, cuz I'm like I'm just sitting there like, "Oh my god." Yeah, not great.
So we saw that when everybody had to vote on who they thought the Spice Girls were, which profile they were behind, that a lot of people chose you. So how did you feel about that? And did that affect your relationships with anybody going forward in the game after that, do you think?
I think the only one that I was like bummed about was uh out was Nathan, quote
Mm.
unquote, because I was like, "Bro, I don't even do gameplay like that, and I know that you're supposed to be cool with the person you came in with. It's
Yeah.
built in. It's like ready to wear. Put on the pants." And he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it. But I honestly didn't care. I was just so excited that people thought that I was the Spice Girls. I I was like, that is like cool as hell. And my favorite part of the show is when they get eliminated and then get to go see somebody. And I never
Mhm.
got to do that, which is like
Oh, yeah.
equal parts a flex and upsetting. So I was just thinking like, "Oh my god, they all think I'm the Spice Girls. Like I get to go meet the Spice Girls. I'm going to go meet the Spice. I don't even care if they have something planned for me. I'm going to go meet the Spice Girls." So I was just like excited, and then you know, it's it's not a it's not a bad thing at all. So how could I be upset about that?
Yeah, no, for sure. Um, Now, after the Spice Girls left, sadly, it seemed like you
Mhm.
bonded a lot with Frank and Yuling early on in the game, and those bonds continued throughout. So, do you feel like those were your two closest allies, or was there anyone else particular that we didn't see necessarily that you were pretty close with as well?
Yeah, I well definitely they were my closest. I did you didn't see a lot of my conversations with Amani, but I had more
Mm.
than Trevor, who I love so dearly. But I had more than what was shown, and I just like felt really good energy from quote unquote her. Um and yeah, I definitely was I after the whole like Mama Carol thing, and I was just exhausted by the catfish of it all, and I just didn't care anymore. And not about like the game. I was still like in it because there's literally nothing else in the whole world. Like you don't have phones or clocks or people, or like they put film on the windows. Like there's literally nothing else in the world
Mm.
except for the game that
Wow.
you're playing. So I definitely was in it in that way, but I was just like, let go and let God. I didn't care. I didn't care. And also Trevor killed it. Trevor did so fucking well at
Yeah.
being a catfish. So whatever. I
He was
regret.
also the one that was used to catfish by Delisa earlier on, so he had it both
I
sides.
know. I know, I know. But the thing is, I do like part of me like really. I had a conversation with Yuling before the final rankings, and I was just like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so
Oh.
sorry. I put because I didn't, because all that like bullshit happened, and then I was just like, oh my god, Amani is an aunt and has all these nieces, and like, but it was really Trevor's kid. So at the end of the day, if Trevor ended up winning, I'm never gonna complain about giving money to a father. You know.
Yeah.
Um. But yeah, that fucked me up pretty bad. I was confused.
Yeah. So midway through the season, we saw that the Circle had a cyber attack, and that the new players at the time, Everson and Trevor, got to start like a safety chain type thing to pick one player at a time to give them the antivirus. So Yuling chose to save you very early on in that. Did that surprise you that she chose you at that time? It seemed to surprise a couple of people. And no.
No, it did not. No, it did not surprise me because you only see the conversations you're in. So I
Yeah.
had no idea that she would like when we did that portrait challenge and Yuling drew, and we all knew it was Yuling who did Bru's portrait. And when I saw that, I was like, I didn't know that she fucked with him like that. Like I had no idea. So, it did not surprise me, but it surprised me how much it surprised everybody else. And they were like, I was like, damn, it was a real down with Rachel campaign. But I think it was just like, we had a thing going on, but that's what happens when you try too hard to make something happen,
Yeah.
Just like, I felt bad about that. That was an awful night.
Mm-hmm.
Whew. And it lasted so long. We went to bed at around like, I think they told me later it was like 4:30 in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
At the end of it, I was like, are we doing anything else? And they're like, you must go to bed. You must.
Wow, that's crazy. And then you ended up picking Nathan to save there. So
Yeah.
why did you choose Nathan?
Because we had a conversation and I was like, yeah, I'll be there for sure. But I was just like, I'll say that to anybody.
Yeah.
I don't care. And I say at the final table, like, I regret not choosing Alyssa, but that's actually not. Alyssa's one of my dearest friends as well. Like, we talk all the time. I just FaceTime with her a couple days ago. Like, she's one of my very closest friends. The girls have like really, those are my girls.
Oh, that's awesome.
But if I saved her, that would be saving Carol and Bru, and that's just like, again, I'm not a strategist, but I know enough to know that.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, he was the person. He was in my DMs. So yes, and did that. And I also really thought that Yuling was going to be happy about it. I didn't know she had a relationship with Alyssa. I knew that she and Nathan had been flirting. So I was like, duh, I'll save the guy who thinks that I'm in an alliance with him, who's also hitting on my boo thing. So like, sure. It seemed like it surprised me that people were surprised by that. I'm like,
yeah,
duh.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Now that you kind of break that down, that makes a lot of sense.
Thank God.
And now fast forwarding a little bit, you made it to final 5, so congrats on being a finalist. And also, you talked a little bit about this, but what went through in your mind, like going through the final rankings and how you rated everyone?
Chaos. It was chaos. I was in the shower. I don't know if you go back and look, but I looked like a naked mole rat, and that's because I was in the shower. And they were like, through the loudspeaker, they were like, Rachel, get to the living room. Get to the living room right the fuck now. And I was like, so I just felt nothing but pure chaos and confusion. All I knew was that Frank was first and Everson was last. That's all I knew. Mm-hmm. And like everything, the two in the middle, I was just like, I don't fucking know. And you know what it really did come down to? Wow. I'm just now realizing this. Like, it really did come down to strategy a little bit, because I knew I wasn't going to win. I knew that. because I did literally nothing to put myself in a position to win. I was not playing to win, which is fine. Everyone needs a jobber. But I was trying to figure out what I could do to put Frank in the best position to win. And I thought Yuling, I knew that Yuling was going to be Frank's number one. So I was like, okay, how do I like fin? And then I knew like after watching it, none of it mattered because everyone put Frank in number one. Like that's not gonna. We could have done anything. It was like our season was like one everything else. Well, maybe Everson, just because like I don't know. I don't know what Everson was doing.
Yeah.
It's so interesting because it's so the opposite of last season 6. Everyone had a different number one, so it's like so interesting.
Really strategic. I would have absolutely drowned. I would have like floundered in that season. I mean, I was just desperately seeking human connection. When you have been in isolation for 2 months, and by the way, like when you get those chats, you're like praying for something to happen. You're sitting there just like, oh my God. So when you see the TV come on and it's like alert and you're like, get to talk to somebody. That was so great. So like you just, and those chats lasted a really long time too. You don't see that, but they last like a really long time.
Yeah. And who are you most surprised to see as a catfish in the end?
Well, Trevor.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that blew my mind. That really blew my mind. We were all surprised. And also none of us recognized him. That was like, I think such a bummer for production because he was like, I'm Trevor, like waiting to be like, and we were like, cool, I'm Rachel.
They made it seem like once he like said it that it's someone, I forgot Frank, who it was.
Yeah, Frank called it out because Frank is like, he loves, and we all love Delisa. She is the best. Yeah. But Frank was like really big Delisa fan.
Oh, okay.
So Frank called it out, and then we all were like, the fuck? Yeah, that blew my mind. And people think that I was like making stank faces during the little like reunion type thing.
I didn't think that.
People thought that I was like making faces at Trevor participating or something. Yeah, there's been, I don't know, a few people have like personally talked to me about it. Oh. And there was like a few Reddit posts about it. There was like, why was Rachel? I'm like, because my face is weird. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you know, when you're like, you know, when you hear somebody sing really, really, really well, and you kind of go, ugh. That's what I was doing. So I'm proud of Trevor. Everyone calm down.
Were you surprised at all by Frank's win or anyone else's final placements at the end?
No. Yeah. No, I was surprised. I was definitely surprised that Yuling wasn't second, but I shouldn't have been because that was my fault.
Yeah.
That was on me. So that surprise was unwarranted.
Yeah, that's fair. Were there any memorable moments from the season that we didn't get to see after the edit?
Oh man, yeah. We had this really, really nice like girls chat, which is, by the way, it happened like the second, you know, the day I woke up the next day of being there. And that was the second I knew that Carol was a man. Because just the way he was moving inside of that conversation, I was like, you are not welcomed here. Like this is not your conversation. And not even like I'm a mom way. I love talking to moms. I know exactly how to talk to moms. That ain't a mama. But I forgot what we were talking about. I got so distracted. Oh, we were having a really good girls chat and it went on for a really long time and we were all telling ghost stories and it was so fun. Ooh. It was really fun and they were like, yeah, this is boring, which I can actually very much see that. Yeah, and then sometimes when we were like sad, I got pretty like the day after Brew went home was like really rough. Just because we were all so like depleted from it. And my daytime producer had a list of my favorite songs, and into her little mic she would like play them into my apartment so that I would like try to cheer up. It was sweet.
Oh,
Just little moments like that were really sweet.
yeah. Do you have any regrets from the game looking back now?
I wish that I could have had a little bit more fun.
Mm.
I was so worried the whole time about taking people's money away from them. Like, it really, the whole concept, which is why I'm like, competition reality probably is not for me. It's the whole idea of taking the opportunity of like a financial gain from somebody without having any context to who this person is or why they might need it
Yeah.
was like way, way, way overwhelming for me. So when I could identify who I thought deserved it the most, which is so like, who am I, God? Okay. But in my very subjective opinion, I knew what Frank had gone through. I knew that there were a lot of funeral costs. I knew that he had student loans. He is a
Yeah.
social worker, so it's not like he had a lot of, savings. Like, I just was like, if anyone deserves this also because of what a pure soul he is, it's him. But I was just I felt awful the whole time. I felt so bad. And it really like is not that deep. I also wish that I remembered that I was on TV more. Like, when I watch Yu Ling doing full beat and I wake up actually a thumb and I just stay a thumb the whole day, I'm just like, yeah, today's thumb day.
You look great. And I feel like it's so hard to remember on a show like this where there's no camera crew like right in front of you. It is, I feel like, hard to remember. It must be.
Yeah, and I lean on the side of defiance. I'm not sure if you remember this from our time in school together, Michael, but like I definitely lean on like, oh, you want me to wear that? No. So
No
if
uniforms.
I like, even just like the thought of like dressing up for the camera, I was like, for who? For
Yeah.
you? No. Who are you? Not thinking like you is actually the Netflix audience, not the man
Right.
operating the camera in 3 rooms away.
No, that makes
Defiant, to my own demise, truly.
Yeah. Have you continued watching the show since you were on the last couple seasons?
Yeah. Yeah, because you're all kind of like you all kind of are in it together.
Yeah.
The Netflix reality contestant circle is very tight, very small, and very supportive.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Season 5 was hard to watch just because I cringe when people flirt with each other. I cringe.
Yeah.
But I love those people very much. And then this last season was so different.
Mhm.
Wasn't it so different?
It was, yeah.
I was like, whoa, this is
Very
new
strategic.
era. This is like hot boy, doing stuff. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I feel like every other season of The Circle had people like me, and then like, well, I guess the person who won is kind of a normie norms, huh?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. I could see that.
Yeah, no, he seems like a sweetie pie, and I appreciate him winning, and I did not expect it.
Yeah. No, I didn't either
Okay.
until towards the end. That kind of seemed to come out of nowhere for a while, but
Yeah, he killed it. Well, that's the problem with that game. People think that there is some like almighty strategy. It is guesswork because
mhm.
your strategy is completely dependent on the fact that the people around you are playing the same game as you, and they might not be. So like, when people come in and they're like, I'm a strategy god, I'm like, okay, how is this applicable? You literally are in a room by yourself
Yeah. Well,
and
and
you
sometimes all
only
it
know
takes
what
is like
people tell
one
you.
one move, like I feel like he did towards the very end. He made one big move at the end, and then that was all anyone cared about. That's what got them
Well,
the win.
I mean, that's why. And the thing that's funny about that game, it's because it's always the stuff that feels like a mistake. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I did that roast of Mama Carol,
Oh yeah.
I was shaken to my core. I literally was like, if I could go home, I would be home. I thought everyone was gonna hate me. I thought that I'd messed up, but I just thought everyone knew. I just didn't know, whatever. But that was the reason why Frank and Yu Ling were like, let's get her in here.
Mm.
So everything that like you might think to be this big risky thing is actually probably the thing that's going to make you a little bit closer to winning.
And it had Nikki Glazer's approval. So you know what? What else matters?
Yeah, kinda. She was like, "Damn, you're mean."
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was
Well,
fun.
what do you have? Oh, sorry. But do you have any advice for any future players on the circle?
Damn. I would say try to have fun because the more you think about it, the more you're going to fuck yourself up. Because the thing that people are looking for the most in a game like that is authenticity or lack thereof. So the second people see that you're like aiming for something, and by the way, you don't have all this time to like lay out a plan and like be, nuanced with it. You have the chats that are allotted to you in the time that they are allotted to you. So if you're
Mm.
trying to like play some angle, you only have a finite amount of time to get that information across. So no matter what you do, you're going to sound like you're selling something and people are going to be like yucky yucky yuck. And then they're going to take that information and go to the people who they actually fuck with. I talked to Frank about mac and cheese. That's something you didn't see. I talked to Frank about mac and cheese for 12 minutes. And that's like a precious 12 minutes out of our day. So like stuff like that is the stuff that is actual relationship building stuff.
Yeah.
um and the gameplay comes after you make those kind of like relationships.
Yeah. No, it's always fun to see. Like, I actually showed us the mac and cheese combo because I love mac and cheese.
We talked a
But
lot about it and like the ordering of it, and he was like, "You're wrong," and I was like, "Prove it." And
They
then
should
they
have
were
like
like,
a secret
"You can't
scenes
prove it."
episode at the end with all those types of
Like the
conversations.
Love Island unseen bits.
Yeah, unseen
You know
bits. Yeah,
how
exactly.
boring that would be? You know how unbelievably
I
boring that
would
would be?
watch it. I have nothing
I
better to do.
read I read 2 books on physics, textbooks, and I played chess with myself. And this is actually, this is here. So when you're on, that's funny. I didn't plant that, I promise. But when you're on the show and you want to bring a book in, you have to like pre-send them in so
Oh.
that they can wrap them. And yeah, so nobody knows what you're reading, so they don't
Oh,
have to.
that's so interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, so now I know physics. So if you need anything
Hey,
in that
you
department.
that was productive. You used your time.
That's what I
So
was trying to do. I was like,
yeah.
I've always wanted to learn physics. And I took the mentality of what most people went into quarantine thinking. I was like, no, I'm going to the circle. I need pure aloneness, no phone, no computer, no TV, no clocks.
Yeah.
Let's learn physics.
yeah. Well, I'm glad that worked out.
I mean, I don't know it, but I tried.
Good time management, or it's good to at least try something. You never know.
Yeah.
And would you ever go on another season, potentially like an all-star season of the circle? Would you ever want to go on? No, not again.
Oh no. I would be straight unless it was like you could be with people, because I would go on with Frank and Yu Ling.
Mm.
I play a really good like straight man. Like I play a really good is there like a new term for that isn't problematic? There has
Not
to
to
be.
know.
There has to be. We can't just
Probably.
keep calling it the straight man. Is that what we're doing here?
I don't know. If there is
year?
one, I'm not aware of it.
Okay. We'll think of it.
Yeah. We'll create one today.
But I'm good at that. So if you put me within the context of other people, I think that I could be good. But I learned that I'm maybe not so good by myself.
Well, they've had people come in with other people. I mean, look at the Spice Girls. They had each other. You could do something like that.
And a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I cannot figure out how they work that out because... And that guy who had a dog on this past season, I was like, where? Oh, they left Manchester.
Right. They're in Atlanta, I think. Yeah.
Okay. I can't even tell you how much nicer their new place is. It's some shit. It is the amount of time that they got to spend outside is in one day. They spent more time outside than I did in my entire experience.
Wow. Why is that? Just the setup of the apartments, I guess?
Yeah, because you can't, like, you just can't. Yeah. And it was the first thing I did every morning as I would wake up and you call it like requesting air. And they would like before I even woke up, they would put my name on the list because they were like, this bitch needs to get outside.
Oh, wow.
She's going crazy. Yeah.
So what have you been up to now since the show wrapped? Do you have anything that you want to plug while you're here?
God, no. Thankfully not. I mean, that's what's so great is I actually like, it was kind of like my final Infinity Stone in Los Angeles. I was there for, a decade and I did everything I wanted to. I did all the things. I accomplished all the things that I thought I wanted to accomplish. And then once I had them, I was like, ugh, how boring. These people suck. So I actually I left and bought a house in Houston, and then I'm gonna be here for a couple years and then maybe go to Oregon or maybe New Zealand or maybe Indonesia or
Wow.
I don't know. I'm having a good time.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm having a fine time.
That sounds very exciting.
Yeah,
So let everyone know where they can find you on social media if they want to follow you and all your adventures.
Well, genuinely no need. I hardly post, but my Instagram is Rachel Sam Evans or Rachel Sam Vans, depends on how you read it. Yeah. Yeah, I've had more than a couple people be like, Rachel Sam Vans, and I'm like, absolutely. Yeah.
Whatever you want it to be.
Well, yeah, I am gleefully out of entertainment. It is a pleasure and a gift.
Well, we are glad that you were in it at one time so we could watch you on The Circle. It was very entertaining. And Rachel, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us. This was so much fun. We got a lot of tea from the behind the scenes and a lot of questions answered. So we really appreciate it.
Of course. And it was so good to see you, my dude.
Yes, so good to catch up. So good to see you. We need to do this
nice
more
to meet
often.
you, Molly.
Yes, it was great to meet you. Thanks again. It was so great.
Girls look very hydrated.
I am?
Your curls.
Oh, my curls.
That would be so weird. I were like, you are.
I mean, I was like, I didn't drink much water during this.
And how would you know?
Yeah. No, thank you. I like, these are natural.
No, truly.
Well, and thank you everyone so much for listening, and we will be back next week, so follow us at Let's Chat Reality on all social media and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and we will chat with you guys later. Bye everyone.
Bye.